Hey, what's up, everybody? And welcome to a brand new podcast. This is the It's Destiny podcast. I am your host, Big Tony. I usually work for Phoenix TV. This is where you'll find this podcast. And hopefully, we'll have a website and stuff soon. So, hopefully, you enjoy. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm a big enthusiast of Destiny, the game Destiny, and I love it. I've spent many hours in it, probably way too many hours in Destiny rather than sleeping, but in my personal opinion, it's all been worth it. So basically what I'm going to do each week is I'm going to come in here and I will the gameplay you'll see. This is the Nightfall. This week we're in Winter's Run, which is where you have to defeat the Archon Priest. And so I'll go through these Nightfalls. I'll show you what I do, the different strategies I use, because the Nightfalls are so much more difficult than the regular strikes, and a lot of people have trouble with them and whatnot. It's always best to come in with a team. Some of these are possible to solo. I've soloed the one on Mars where you have to defeat Valis Turok. Took me a while, but I was able to do it. And I'm not sure that I actually soloed any of the other ones. I can't seem to get past a certain part in Sepix Prime. And in this one, I can't get past the big area of all the guys. I always get sniped from somewhere that I'm not realizing. So, basically, it's always best to have a team. And for that, I use a site called LFG. DestinyLFG.com. So if you don't know about that site, I'll link it in the description below so you can go check it out. It's really nice. We're going to skip ahead here to that big area where you have to expel the different forces, the different waves of enemies. Anyway, DestinyLFG.com is a great site. You go and list your Guardian, what activity you want to do, and give some specifics like that you have a mic, what weapons you have, things like that. And it's great for raiding. It's great for anything that's not match, that doesn't have matchmaking. It's great to do that for, and you meet some cool people, and sometimes you can actually make some new friends. So that's kind of nice. So I mean, this part's pretty relevant. Just kind of stay back. You don't want to jump in there. I mean, some people do, but when you have snipers out behind you, it kind of helps. I like to stay back. We're going to skip ahead here to the final wave. You get a bunch of Hydras here and a bunch of Harpies, or Herpies, whatever you like to call them. And but I like to stay back and just snipe away. I just use the Icebreaker. Luckily this week the burn is an all burn. So you'll notice later I'll be using pretty much, like, I have the Fang of Your Root. It's not my favorite gun, it's a good gun. It's got high impact, and when it's Arc Burn is available, it's definitely a good choice. You may have other favorites, whatever, but that's just what I'm using this week. But it's an all burn, so meaning you have Arc, Solar, and Void. And here in a second, I'm gonna run up to one of an Ingram that I got. It's a blue one. They actually changed the look of it. I didn't notice this. Look at that. That looks pretty freaking cool. So definitely added some new design. And we're going to skip ahead here again to this part. Now this part's funny. And so we came out here, and in the middle of recording, I could hear a beeping. Now my wife makes rice out of a rice cooker a lot. And so I thought maybe it was just that, because that's kind of what it sounded like. And then all of a sudden I heard her scream something. I had no idea what she was screaming because I had my headset on, talking to the guys I was playing with. And so you're just going to see me stand here for a minute. And there's nothing really I can do about it because I went out to help her to find that she was trying to cook fry bread and caused a fire, which caused a lot of smoke and, set off the fire alarm. So I went out and helped her for a few minutes, and I'll skip past all this so you don't have to watch. All right. So after I helped, get rid of the smoke and get the fire alarm to stop chirping, came back and the guys I was playing with were just cleaning up this area, so help them clean this up. And I won't show you, all the different waves and everything. So here in a minute we'll. Oh no, actually, this actually goes really fast. I forgot about this one, so I'll die right here. Basically, what we did, I think, all three of us, or at least two of us, had Gallarhorns, and we actually took him down really fast. It was quite impressive. But I'll show you here in just a second. So we've got this all cleared out. I'm gonna go here and start it, and I'll show you where I like to stand. So I usually start it, and I'll come up here, kind of go back up where we were. Here I go, thinking about it, and I'm going now. All right, so I come up here, back up to this shelf. So you kind of jump up here, jump up there, and then you turn around and jump right there. And you have a nice little view, unobstructed view of the Archon Priest. And you can just well on him, and you can see. We might all have Gallarhorns. I don't remember, though. And so just, if you all have Gallarhorns, it's so easy. I mean, it's ridiculously easy. So, I mean, this guy was dead really quick. So that's kind of the strategy that I use. With this. So also with this podcast, what I want to do is I want to kind of go through some of the news that Bungie has during the week. You know how they send out little updates, and they have little news things on their site. Seeing that guy got a Gallarhorn out of that too, so that was a good run. So the rest of the gameplay is going to be my Warlock and then my Titan, while I talk about some of the stuff that Destiny revealed this week. So as you know, House of Wolves comes out on May 19th. Hopefully you're all excited for it. I know I am. And it brings a lot of new things. It brings a whole new social space. And basically yesterday being Wednesday the 29th. So I'm dating this, my bad. Anyway, so on Wednesdays from now until the House of Wolves comes out, there will be a Twitch reveal. So at twitch.tv/Bungie, go follow them, because every week they will have an hour-long Twitch reveal where they will show you many things. So this Wednesday, they had Christopher Barrett, who's a creative director. They had Deej, who's the guy who always sends out the news updates and whatnot on Bungie.com or Bungie.net and the Destiny app. And then they had King Gothalion. I think he's a Twitch streamer as well. They showed us the Reef, which is a new social space. It's kind of like the Tower. It's got a lot of things like the Tower, but it's in the domain of the Queen and the Awoken. So now we'll finally get to go out and use the Reef for more than just a cutscene. So that'll be nice. Petra, from the Queen's Wrath. If you guys have been playing long enough and remember that, the Queen's Wrath came for a week. It was kind of like an Iron Banner thing where you had a quest to do every week and you tried to rank up there. She's your main story agent now in the Reef, and she looks a little bit different than when she did when she came to the Tower. She has new bounties, so it's not the same ones that we use or that we went through during the Queen's Wrath. So it's all new bounties, and you know she sets you on the story. With her, you get your story information through her. She's got new shaders. She's got a ship that you can buy that's similar to the one that was flying behind her when she came to the Tower. And then, of course, new logos. So with this update, there will be a full set of Queen's Wrath armor and weapons, and those can be acquired in the Prison of Elders, which will be through drops in the Prison of Elders, and I believe in the Trials of Osiris as well. We'll have some new stuff, their own full set of armor, but we'll get to that in a minute. The new level is going to be 34. Light on the best armor and stuff will be at 38. So you need to get it to 38 in order to increase the 2 levels to 34. And then, So then one of the other new things they revealed with the trailer is the Prison of Elders. Kind of an end game thing, not a raid, and I understand a lot of people are upset about that, but this Prison of Elders thing seems pretty cool. So who you're going to go to? You're going to go to Varix. He's the warden of the Prison of Elders. He kind of runs that, and he's a fallen from the House of Judgment. So it's just another house, and apparently he's the last one from the House of Judgment. And it's a very old house. So basically, he's the last one of this of that house, and so the queen is, let him stay on and do and basically run the Prison of Elders for her. So along with the Prison of Elders, it's gonna be like a raid or like the Nightfall, where there's weekly lockouts. So once you do it, that's it. You have to wait for the reset. Now the cool thing is there's different. Also along with Varix, he has inventory that you can get from him, or that it shows you or something. I was a little confused on that because it looked like you could buy it from him, but then they said that it was just kind of a preview. I'm not sure. Anyway, that's different every week. So he'll have different stuff each week to show you that you could earn or get through the Prison of Elders. And things won't pop up repeatedly. So when you're doing the Crota raid and the Vault of Glass raid, those always seem to seem to get the same things. At least I do. I'm sure a lot of other people do too. But apparently that's not supposed to happen as often anymore. Basically, you'll be rewarded for playing the Prison of Elders. And it'll change. The cool thing about the Prison of Elders is it's not going to be like a raid. Like, things are not going to be set in the same way. They're not going to react in the same way. There will be differences, and it will change every time you play. So it'll be a new experience every time you play. So that'll be kind of cool. I'm really excited to see it. It's just, it's a different way to play the game, and I'm sure it was hard for them not to do a raid, and I'm sure they felt like they'd get a lot of flack for it. So hopefully it's fun. It sounds fun. So we'll see. So then the other thing that they're doing is the Trials of Osiris, and Brother Vance is the guy. He's the disciple of Osiris, and he's the emissary for the Trials of Osiris. So he's the guy that you're going to go to. Now next week on April 29th, they will be showing you more of the Trials of Osiris, and I think actually going into the Trials of Osiris. It's competitive multiplayer, and it runs every weekend, so Friday to reset, actually. So it's not like Xur where it cuts out on Sunday. You actually get it from Friday until Tuesday. So that's nice. And that's something you can do every week. And then and apparently all the gear from the Trials of Osiris makes you look like an Egyptian king. So it sounds like each class has their own full set of armor, and it should be pretty cool. Now they kind of walk in this first Twitch video, and again I'll link it in the description below so that you can go and watch it and see all the stuff, because I'm just kind of touching on what they talked about. But they show you the reef, the new social space, and how the tower's all pristine and has everything all nice and neat and clean, and the reef isn't. I mean, it's dangerous. It's unkempt. There's garbage everywhere. I mean, you can see broken ships out in the sky window, and there's some similar things. So you'd almost expect that you wouldn't have to actually go to the tower again, but because they have a bounty tracker, they have a postmaster, they have the vault, and those, so those are all there. So, and it's your basic bounty tracker, that gives your basic Vanguard and Crucible bounties. So then, you ask if there's a reason to go back to the tower. Well, there is. Some important reasons. Also, they asked about Xur and whether or not Xur would be going around, and it sounds like what's going to happen is Xur might actually end up in the reef as well. So he might not always end up in the tower. So that'll be interesting to see what they do there, how they rotate his progression between the two social spaces. And then just another thing, all Guardians are welcome to the Reef. You don't have to own the expansion, so you are able to go there and check out the different things. But obviously, I mean, you wouldn't be able to do all the stuff associated with the new expansion if you don't own the expansion. But you can go there. So that's cool. So when you get back to the tower, you're a guy that we hardly have ever gone to unless you're into getting new logos, is the Speaker. And he actually has some new tricks. So he has, one of the most notable things is material exchange. I know for a long time I've been annoyed by it, and I know others have been annoyed by it, but once you get into the Dark Below expansion and get all your weapons and things from the raid, you don't really have a need for Ascendant Shards or Ascendant Energy. And so now what? Basically. So what they've done is they've gone through and they've made it to where you can take your Ascendant Energy and you can turn it in for shards. So it's 1-to-1. So 1 energy for 1 shard. And all you need to do is and just have a little bit of glimmer. So as long as you have some glimmer and some and the energy to do it, you can change those into shards. Now, you then can take the shards and vice versa. If you need energy, you can change the shards into energy. Or you can use 2 shards for 1 mote of light, and then, or you can take a shard and exchange it for 250 glimmer. So, and the same thing can be done for the radiant stuff. So Eris's economy is still relevant, only now you don't need the Black Wax Idol. Thank goodness. My goodness. I had a ton of that stuff. I never used it as far as like gaining glimmer. And so luckily I had to just stockpiles of it. But I'm pretty low now, as of late, after doing all the Crota stuff and trying to get all their materials and whatnot. My goodness. So with the Radiant Shards, same thing. You can change the Radiant Energy into shards, and then you can change the Radiant Shard. That was awesome, by the way. That guy just got shot by that skiff. That was hilarious. Sorry. And so the Radiant Shards, again, you can change those into energy. 2 of them you can train into motes of light, which I wouldn't suggest that. And then Radiant Shards, 1 of them will give you 250 glimmer as well. So that's all nice and good. And then they took us over to one of the faction leaders, Gans, of the New Monarchy. Each faction has a new full set of armor. And they have a new full set of weapons. And that's pretty awesome. So if you're into the Crucible stuff, you'll be able to get new stuff from your faction, and some of the guns that they've added too. There was I don't remember the name of it, but they had an auto rifle that had actually pretty decent impact. Because most auto rifles of late have been just garbage as far as the impact goes, and so that's been one of those things that bug people about auto rifles. They have a really high, you can shoot a lot really fast, but then the impact sucks, so you don't really do that much damage. So you have to be really accurate with it. So that'll be nice to kind of see some of those things. And then Lord Shax, he's a Crucible handler. He has a bunch of new armor as well. And then there's also new gear from the Vanguards, so you can get new stuff from them as well, which are all upgradable. And then the Crucible Quartermaster has new weapons, and I'm sure that the Vanguard Quartermaster also does as well. They didn't, they wanted to leave some of it to us to explore and check out and everything. So, as you can see, there's still some reasons to go back to the tower. I don't think there's a gunsmith at the Reef, so you still have to go there. And I'll talk about something here in just a second that'll give you an idea as to why we have to go. As to why the gunsmith is now going to be really important. So with this expansion, there's going to be a new thing you need to get from the Prison of Elders, Trials of Osiris, Nightfall, and Iron Banner. that you have a chance to get from each one of those anyway. It's called Etheric Light. Now, what this is for is they're allowing us to ascend our weapons. So, I'm talking launch day legendary weapons like Shadow Price. I know I had a buddy who loved the Shadow Price, and it's stuck at 300 right now, and with no way to update it. So, with this ascension, you can use the Etheric Light and typically some glimmer and maybe other materials, weapon parts. That's what it was. So weapon parts, Etheric Light, and glimmer will get you from whatever your weapon is at to 365. Now, if you have the weapon like at 300, say it's a Shadow Price and it's at 300, it's fully upgraded, and you ascend it, you keep all the progression. The progression stays. So that is awesome. There's no cap on it. So, but that, I mean, that comes with the fact that, I mean, there's no cap, but it all depends on what you get out of, if you do the Prison of Elders, the Trials of Osiris, the Nightfall, the Iron Banner when it's available. I mean, if you do all 4 of those things within, a week, you're going to get your best possible chance in order to get as much Etheric Light as possible. So that's nice. That'll be really, really cool. And then another thing, Xur is not needed to upgrade exotics anymore. So if you have exotics, exotic armor, exotic weapons, you don't need him anymore. And for those, you actually don't need the Etheric Light. You need exotic shards. So you still do need Xur for something. You have to go get the shards, or you have to, you'll still have to go to him to buy stuff, that he'll have. But at least you'll be able to upgrade it whenever you want. You don't have to wait for him to come and show up. And he may or may not have what you want. Oh, man, during this one, this guy kept standing over there and dying. And eventually I go and get him. And then he stays over there and dies again. Drove me nuts. All right, so... so any legendary armor, weapon from any release is now upgradable. That's awesome. So that's really cool. Another thing that they're bringing along with this update is reforging. So if you know anything about other MMOs, which I do consider Destiny an MMO, I mean it's definitely got a lot of characteristics of an MMO. It's not the open world, no loading type thing, but most of it is pretty MMO-ish. So here's how I gotta save this guy. I almost actually died doing it. Luckily, I was a Titan. Just kind of ticks me off that he ends up freaking dying again. It's annoying. So, reforging. So this is awesome. The gunsmith. So basically, when you, and this is only on new legendary weapons from the House of Wolves expansion. So, and what it does, you go into it where the perks are, and it's going to be over there on the left side, right underneath where the where it tells you, if your weapon has a burn on it, what damage it does, arc, solar, or void. Basically, so you go to that, and this is what it says. It says the gunsmith can reforge this weapon, changing its available upgrades, but resetting any progression or ascension. So if you've already ascended the weapon, it will reset that. You'll have to redo that. And it will reset the progression. So you don't want to be light in your doing that. Make sure you really want to change it. But the nice thing about that is you can change just the different perks that are on it. So that's cool. And the things that you need for it, you go to the weaponsmith. You got to make sure that the gun that you want to reforge is equipped. You need 1 mode of light, 3 weapon parts, and 250 glimmer, which is actually pretty cheap. Like, that's a lot cheaper than I would have thought. Now, as long as you've got all those things, you can do it over and over and over again. And so the other cool thing about all these changes with the armor being upgradable by ascending is everybody can look different. It's no longer going to be, oh, hey, yeah, I know that guy's been through, the raid a ton of times because he's got all the raid gear. you won't know that anymore. If you've still got all of your Vault of Glass armor, which I don't, I've deleted it all because I didn't think it would ever be relevant again. Um, you'll be able to upgrade that to the new light level and use that. So everybody's going to look different. So basically, if you've ever played World of Warcraft, I know I'm not sure if they have it on their other Blizzard games, but they have that thing called transmogrification, which basically you can take the look of a piece of armor or a weapon and make it look like the weapon or armor that you have. I know that I did that on when I played WoW on a few things because there was some things that just they looked really stupid the way they were, and I had some cooler stuff, and so it's the same idea, but the difference is that instead of making your armor look like a piece of armor that you have, you actually are just upgrading that particular armor, which is still cool. That is pretty neat. So, oh, and then one of the last things they talked about, player trading has always been talked about. I know I've talked about it with some people, and it would be nice. And and other MMOs allow it, for with certain limitations. And I think they're worried about, well, if you've got so many of this weapon and you just hand it to somebody else, that kind of changes, that changes the liking to the game. And I can see that. For example, when I got my first icebreaker, I mean, I hadn't had it, I'd never had it, and I really wanted it, and I soloed. That's when I soloed the Mars Strike. Took me about an hour and a half to do it because you can't die or else you start over. And so I finally finished him off, and I got Icebreaker as the reward. It was the weekly Nightfall. It was awesome, and I was so excited. And the only downfall to that was freaking Xur sold it that very next Friday. Like, I was so pissed that I had gone through all that for nothing, basically, because I could have just bought it, a couple days later. So I can see where they're going. You're not going to have a story. I mean, I'm sure all of us have a story of when you got your first Gjallarhorn or, your Mythoclast or whatever. So it's definitely one of those things where I think it's important, honestly. They just need to figure out a way, like in WoW, if you equip certain armor, it binds it to you, meaning that you cannot trade it. You can't give it away. The only thing you can do is sell it. And not to another player. Like, you can just sell it for the money. And so they'd have to come up with a way to do that. So, like, I couldn't just give somebody an upgraded Abyss Defiant because I've got like 7 of those. Or an upgraded Icebreaker because I've got like 4 or 5 of those now since I've gotten a bunch of drops and I've bought some too. So I see where they're coming from, but at the same time, I think that they could limit it quite a bit. Maybe not trading exotics, or maybe, maybe they should bring in some kind of a trading house, where you can put stuff up for sale, because some people need glimmer and whatnot, or shards. Maybe there's somebody out there who has just a crap ton of shards that doesn't need them or use them. Why not, make that an available currency to trade with players. Anyway, there's a whole economy they could do, I think, in order to utilize that. And I'm sure, they're obviously thinking about that. They've probably got tons of people working on it all the time. I think it's doable. I realize some people don't want it, but I think they could do it, and it could actually be really beneficial, especially when you have buddies that you're trying to get into the game. You could kind of help them out, or even just trading glimmer. I mean, there's been times when a buddy of mine just doesn't have enough glimmer, or ascendant material, or just trading that kind of stuff. So maybe not the weapons and armor, but maybe just like little things like the stuff to be able to upgrade it, or like the fact that I had like 1,000 spin metal, and buddy of mine had to go collect some because he didn't have any. And granted, you can buy that stuff now, which is really nice. The only thing I wish is they brought the availability to buy the materials, but then they took away the ability to sell it, which I don't understand. When the game first came out, you were able to. So say you go get a whole bunch of spin metal, you could take it back to the quartermaster and you could sell it to him, and get like, what was it, 10 Vanguard marks or whatever, which is fine. I mean, because you can only get 100 Vanguard marks in a week anyway. And so the economy wouldn't have been messed up at all, because my guess is like they're thinking, oh well, now that they can just buy it from us, they'll buy it from us, and then get the Vanguard marks. But the problem is you buy it with the Vanguard marks. So I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me why they took away the option to sell it. But with all these new upgrades and stuff, they have brought you're going to be using a lot of this stockpiled stuff that you've got. So that's nice, I suppose. Hopefully it all levels out. So, again, like I said earlier, until release, every Wednesday, Bungie will be doing this Twitch reveal at their Twitch channel. So make sure you go to twitch.tv/Bungie and follow them so you can get the updates on when they're going to be doing that. So that you can see kind of some of the new stuff that they'll be doing. They're going to have different celebrity guests there each week, so you want to check that out. And then, so, that's basically it. They had some other reveals and stuff this week, just some, upgraded things like the ball in the tower. I know I've spent tons of time with that stupid ball, just kicking it around. They did some upgrades to that. They, I showed you earlier with the Ingram, they did, obviously some visual upgrades there. I'm really excited and about the new update, but I'm a huge fan of this game. I've played tons of hours on it, so I'm a big fan. I'm excited for the expansion, and it sounds like they've put a lot more work into this one than they did the Dark Below, because I know we all have our issues with Dark Below. With different things, like the story wasn't as long. The raid is obviously way easier than the Vaults of Glass. I'm not sure that I've ever met anybody that's actually done the bridge part without cheesing it. So it's just things like that, that it just seemed like the Dark Below was rushed. But it really sounds like they put a lot of work into the House of Wolves, so I'm really excited to see everything that they've done, and I can't wait to get in there and play it. So, again, this has been Big Tony. This is the It's Destiny podcast. I hope to be putting this out every week. So, with new information, new updates. I'll definitely have new content every week, because I'll probably do it after the Twitch stream, so that there's plenty to talk about off of their reveals. And again, you're just watching this guy just get Gjallarhorn to death. That's another thing too. If you saw my heavy ammo synths, don't be afraid to buy those from Xur. Totally worth it. Use your strange coins. Go to your weekly heroics every week. That is super important. Just being able to get all that stuff. Ooh, I got Dragon's Breath. Bleh. And that guy was really excited to get Might of Multi-Tool. I've already gotten like 3 or 4 of those too. So anyway, leave some comments, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. You know the drill. We'd love to hear what you guys think. And tell me what you think about Destiny. What is it that you like about Destiny or don't like about Destiny? Leave that in the comments below as well. Let us know what you think, and if you guys ever want to hang out, I'll put my Twitch information down below. I'm trying to stream a lot more, and I'd love to play with you guys and hang out. So let us know what you think, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Adios.